Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica H. Maurer, and I'm here to lead you on a journey talking about taking our people from likes to revenue. In other words, how do we take leads into becoming customers? Let's get started. First, it may seem like I'm not really on the right path with this presentation, but I promise you, if you sit tight and take this journey with me, you'll walk away with easy to implement ideas, tips, and tricks to get you started to really building a sustainable business. No matter if you're a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, studio owner, gym owner, or a boot camp runner. So sit back, grab your pen and paper, and take this journey with me. Did you know there's 7 billion people on this planet? 7 billion. It's amazing because while we're all humans, we all have these uniquenesses, perspectives, experiences, preferences that make us different. For example, I started off my career as a master trainer. I am now the Senior Director of Instructor Development at Fit for Mom. I still test programs for other companies, giving my feedback. I present for conferences around the world, including here at SCW. I'm a blogger, a ghostwriter, and a social media consultant. And I had the honor of being a keynote speaker for SCW in 2020, right before the pandemic. But that's me professionally. What about me personally? Well, I'm a wife and a mom, as well as a sister and a daughter. I'm an avid reader. I love science fiction and fantasy novels. I'm a board gamer. I'm a knitter. Might not be very good at it, but I'm a knitter, and I will give out the things I knit to the people that I love. And I love to show my son the world. I love to travel from beaches to the mountains. Now, some people might say that I wear a lot of hats. I don't like to think about it so much as hats. Another thing that you might hear is that you're putting a label on things or being stuck into a box. I want to challenge those ideas, and I want you to instead think about this like puzzle pieces. All of the things that you do professionally and personally are just ways that you are putting together your puzzle pieces to create an entire picture of you, whoever you happen to be. Now, what's amazing is that it's our human nature to search out the puzzle pieces where we can connect and we can align with other people. We are hardwired in our brain to search out for community, to search out similarities and likeness. By searching out these things, we are essentially looking for places where our puzzle pieces connect with other puzzle pieces. And that really is what social media is all about, is looking for places where you fit in, looking for people that you connect with, where your puzzle pieces overlay. So I want you to stop thinking about social media in terms of marketing. And I want you to start thinking about social media in terms of your dating profile. If people were going to come to your social media accounts, whichever social media account it is, would they want to date you? Would they find enough crossover and similarities where they were intrigued to learn more about who you are and what you have to offer? So it's not about marketing. Instead, it's about attracting people. Again, go back and think about it as if it is your dating profile. What would you put out there in order to get a prospective client or partner to come into a relationship with you? All of the ways that you cross over. Now, there's a few stages we're going to take you on today. We're going to start off with number 1, likes. How do you get likes on social media? And what likes matter? Do they matter? Let's dive in. Here's the thing about social media. It is constantly changing. So what I could tell you today may be different from what I'm going to tell you in a week. It's always changing. But why? Why is it always changing? Why is it so hard to figure out? And why is it that just when you think you have it figured out, it changes? And maybe you've heard of this word, the algorithm, right? You've heard that term before? Let's dive into what the algorithm is so that you can understand how to best utilize all of your insights so that you can get likes. Here's tip number 1 for you, though. You've got to realize that social media platforms or businesses. They are designed to make money just like your business is designed to make money. They are trying to get more people to log into the platform and stay on the platform for an extended period of time, because they can turn around and tell their advertisers, the people that they're trying to sell ad space to, like Amazon, hey guys, we have this many people logging in organically every day and staying on for this long period of time. This isn't just Facebook and Instagram, which, by the way, is the same company. It's YouTube, it's TikTok, it's Twitch, it's all the social media platforms. They are designed to sell advertising space. And advertising space is all about how many views, not how many likes, how many views. So they want to know that you are logging in organically into their platform, because then you count in lifting up their advertising space. So they created an algorithm, a mathematical equation, which makes each user's experience customized to what they like and love. So in other words, they have determined that you will stay in their platform for a longer period of time, and you will log onto the platform more times during your day if they show you posts where the relationship is strong, it's post types that you've liked, it's really popular with other users, and it's been posted in the last 2 hours or so. So let's break these down a little bit more. The relationship. That is all about your interaction. How many times have you interacted with this person or page? If there's a lot of interaction, a lot of likes, comments, shares, and saves already in your history, your relationship is strong. It's more likely to show you that content. However, if you have not liked, commented, saved, or shared the content from a specific page or person in a long time, the relationship is weak and they are less likely to show up in your newsfeed. Now, the post type is also based on what you like to ingest. Videos, photos, text, that all matters to the algorithm. So if you're the kind of person who really loves to watch videos, they're going to show you more videos. If you're the kind of person who will stop and scroll photos, they're going to show you more photos. If you're the kind of person on Instagram who stops and watches reels, it's going to show you more reels. The post type is going to be specific to what you interact with. Popularity is about other people that are like you, that fit within your demographic, have similar interests as you. That popularity is going to determine whether you see a post. And then relevancy. Social media likes things to go fast. You got about 2 hours. 2 hours of relevancy. So if you are a business and you're posting your content at 9 a.m., but the majority of your followers aren't logging on until 5 p.m., you're not going to see your content because of the relevancy factor. So the algorithm isn't necessarily designed to punish you so that you don't get likes. It's just a fundamental equation that is built within all social media platforms in order for them to sell more ad space and make more money. Because what it's trying to do is cultivate a place that you want to be for a longer period of time. And you tell them every day. With every interaction, you are telling that platform what you want to see. So a lot of people say, social media is so toxic, and when I go on, I just see things that really make me unhappy. And it's probably because you interacted with some content that is generating that type of feed. So you got onto a political discussion in the last couple of years, and now you're seeing all this political feed. It's because you were voting. In other words, you were telling social media what you wanted to see by interacting with it, by having engagement. So if all you want to see is cute photos of kittens, trust me, spend some time, go through, like, comment, and share a bunch of photos and videos of kittens that you find in your feed will automatically adjust to those preferences, because you are telling social media what you want to see and how you want to interact with people. Now, engagement is one of the ways that the algorithm determines popularity and relationship strength. So what exactly is engagement? In order of how engagement is ranked, let's go over it. Shares and saves. This is the top way of telling social media, this is the content I want to see. So this goes for your clients. The more they save your content or share your content, the more they're going to see your content. So asking them, hey, save this recipe for later. Make sure you share this exercise with someone else. It's a great way to lift the engagement to ensure that you are then seen more in their feed. Tagging other people is another great way to lift your engagement. Commenting, and then at the bottom is the like. So while likes are important, they're not necessarily as important as some of these other things, especially shares and saves. That is the height of engagement. So if you can, encourage your people, save this for later. Tag someone who needs to see it. Ask them a question and ask them to leave the comment below. The little like feature is no longer regarded at such a high level, but engagement really is. Now, engagement works both ways. It's not just people engaging with you, also you engaging back. So the more that you are actually engaging, saving and sharing, tagging, commenting, the more the platform sees that you are being social, you're being interactive. So what does it do? It lifts you up. It rewards you. It rewards you for being an engaged member of their community. Just like it rewards your posts for getting engagement. So here's one little caveat though about social media. A lot of people look at social media as a way to show the world everything you're doing. And that's great from a personal perspective. What it's not good for is business. Tying your ego into social media is a great way for you to lessen the amount of engagement you get, lessen the amount of interactivity that you get on your social media profile. So instead of focusing on you, I want you to turn your social media to focusing on your clients' pain points. What are pain points? These are questions that your target demographic is Googling. These are questions that they're looking to answer for. They're calling their sister, their neighbor, their brother, and asking, what can I do about this? Now, you're not going to be able to answer all their pain points. I still want you to stay within your scope of practice, but you need to be able to answer their pain points on social media to get their engagement. So if you want them to like a post, provide content that answers a pain point. So let's say, for example, you are really interested in working with prenatal clients. Then your focus is going to be, what can I do that's safe in my first trimester? What can I do in my second, maybe my third? What do I need to know about giving birth in my local area? What are some pediatrician recommendations so that I'm prepared? What's the best jogging stroller so that I'm prepared? What can I do about this pain or that pain or this pain or my back is hurting? Can I still run? There's so many different questions that if you put yourself in your target demographic shoes and you start to reflect and think about them and what they need, that's what your social media should answer. And remember, it's about this uniting of the things you know and the things they need and how those puzzle pieces intertwine and overlap. Now, throughout your social media, while you're still giving out all this information, all these answers that you can answer inside your scope of practice, that also means that you can use area resources like partners or magazines or bloggers or podcasts to answer other questions that you can't answer because it's not within your scope of practice. So stay within your scope of practice and then utilize area partners and resources to answer some of these other questions that are still answering the pain points of your target demographic. Now, can you sell on social media? Absolutely. But I want you to think about it in terms of knitting or weaving. You've got to be able to provide educational content with a sales pitch, and it's got to fit together in a pattern that doesn't make it look so disjointed or disconnected. You literally want to weave in education with sales. It's got to be something that looks and acts as if it cannot be separated. But no matter how much you pull or stretch or bunch it up, it's not going to come apart. It's interwoven together. Whereas if all you do is focus on sales and buy this and this sale and buy this and buy this, then you're not building up a rapport with that client. And we're going to talk about that part next, because we're moving on to what happens when they more than like you. So more than likes, getting a couple of likes on social media, how can we take those people to the next level? Remember I just said rapport? So what does that tie into? Well, customers purchase based on trust, credibility, and loyalty. And for today, we're going to focus a lot on the trust factor. What is trust? Well, trust is a firm belief in the reliability, the truth, the ability, and the strength of someone or something. Firm belief. Now, there are a few ways to build trust. We are going to talk about building trust in two manners that seem to work the best for businesses, not personal relationships, not a therapist, can't fix your personal life, but I can try to help in business. Here's the thing. You are more likely to trust people you already trust. I know that seems crazy, right? But if there's already a foundational aspect of trust built in, then inherently whatever that person trusts, you in turn trust more. For example, if your best friend came to you and said, "This is the best massage therapist I've ever been to, you've got to go," you would go. If you just passed a billboard where you saw a stranger that said, "This is the best massage therapist," you're less likely to go because you don't know that person, but you know your best friend. And you know your best friend have a lot of similar qualities that you do. So you're more likely to trust. In fact, you're 84% more likely to purchase when you're referred by a friend. So use this to your advantage. While you are trying to build trust and gather more leads and bring more clients to you, use your clients to facilitate that trust. Show your clients, ask your clients for referrals, ask them to bring in their best friends, their mama, their sister, their brother. Do things like BOGO, where they get to bring a friend for free. Utilize the fact that people are more likely to purchase when they're referred by an already trusted individual. A lot of times when we say something like this, we're like, you know what works amazingly? Client testimonials. And it's true. Client testimonials on social media do phenomenal. But let's break it down a little bit, okay? This is what we used to think of as client testimonials, especially in the fitness industry. We used to always put inches and weight associated with it, right? And then you got these before and after photos. Here's the thing. This is going to get you a ton of likes. It's going to get you a ton of likes on social media. Is it going to get you customers? Probably not. Statistics show that before and afters, while they get a ton of attention, get 0 click-throughs to actually go and purchase the program. So what's happening here? Well, when people have been polled and asked, when they see this, they're like, yes, go girl, you did amazing. But what they're thinking is, that person just climbed Mount Everest and there's no way I can do that. I'm not capable of what she just did. I don't have the willpower. I don't have the time. They're not interested. So I want you to flip the script a little bit on client testimonials. When you're trying to build trust and you want people to take you from more than likes into actually trusting you as a business on the way to become a customer, then you need to show them the journey. You need to show them every step of the way. If all you're doing is showing them the end, if all you're doing is being like, yep, I grew this flower. Isn't this flower great? They're like, great flower. The end. I'm never going to be able to do it. Instead, show them every step, every progress. And you know what else this does? This celebrates the wins of your clients, the small little wins that we should be celebrating, that we should be high-fiving on, You came 2 weeks in a row. You came to 5 classes, 10 classes, 20 classes, 30 classes. You just went from drinking 32 ounces of Coca-Cola to drinking 4 ounces a day. Whatever it is, every little thing we should be celebrating. We should be putting out there on social media, because there are people out there who are like, how do I do this? And you're going to give them that guide. You're going to answer their questions step by step. So it's not about showing them the final package. It's showing them the client testimonial. Follow a client through their journey. So that's building trust, number one. The next thing that works for businesses is consistency. Now, if you've seen any of my presentations before, you know that I cannot get through a presentation without talking about cupcakes. Have you ever been to a bakery before and ordered a carrot cake cupcake, and it was the best carrot cake cupcake ever? And then you went and told everyone about it, how amazing it was, and you and your best friend went back a week later to the bakery to get another carrot cake cupcake, and it wasn't the same. What would that do to your impression of the bakery? Would you go back? Well, statistics show you wouldn't. Your trust in their consistency has been broken. And when your trust in their consistency has been broken, that means that you're not going to be a customer of that organization. So if every time someone comes to you to experience your class, your personal training session, your gym, and the experience is not consistent, they're not coming back. So if you're a group fitness instructor and you think, I got to change my class every single time I teach, you're wrong. You're wrong. And the reason you're wrong is because consistency builds trust. So if every time they come to your class and they're experiencing something different, they no longer have trust in you, they're not coming back. Now, consistency isn't just about experience. Consistency is also the colors that you use on social media, your emails, your website, your logo, in person. Color consistency is powerful in branding and building loyalty. Want some examples? What color do you think of when I say Home Depot? What about Lowe's? Starbucks? There's a reason why their color branding is so incredibly strong, because recognizable branding also helps with loyalty. And as I told you, customers purchase based on trust, credibility, and loyalty. Don't believe me on colors? I've got one more for you. Anybody like sports? If you are a sports fan, let's say, for example, you are a diehard FSU, Florida State University Seminoles fan, and you wear garnet and gold, would you ever be caught wearing blue and orange from the University of Florida Gators? No, you wouldn't. Consistency, loyalty, and colors. It's a crazy thing. It's not just about your branding, though. It's also about your content. So I want you to come up with 5 big buckets of what you want to share in your brand awareness strategy. Whether that's Meatless Monday for Mondays, maybe you want to share a tip on Tuesdays, maybe it's Wellness Wednesdays, whatever it is. Doesn't have to be alliterative, but find your 5 big buckets of what you are the expert in and what your target demographic is searching for. And put those buckets in to your schedule. This helps you build consistency so that I, as a consumer, know every Monday you're going to put out a blog and email me about the blog. Then I know on every Tuesday you're going to post a social media tip on Facebook and Instagram. And I know on Wednesday there is a live class in your private Facebook group. And I know on Thursday, et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't have to always be social media. If you're the kind of person who's like, I don't want to post on social media every day, that's fine, don't. Weave in these other aspects that we're going to talk about a little bit too in a moment into your strategy so that people know what to expect and keep it consistent. Expectations and consistency help build that trust. You need trust to get them to go from just liking you on social media to becoming a consumer or a customer of yours. The next part of consistency is your voice. I am a ghostwriter. I write for other people. I used to be a social media manager for a ton of different companies where I acted as them online. And it worked great for an extended period of time. But when I started spending less time with those individuals that I was ghostwriting for, I lost their voice. And as my voice as an author and a writer became stronger, it became harder to disconnect my voice and tie into their voice. Why is all this important? Because if I wrote something and then you showed up and met my client in person, and my client's voice didn't match the voice I had been using, there's a disconnect. And that disconnect allows for there to be a lack of consistency, which breaks trust. So in other words, if I'm hilariously funny online, which I hope I am, but my client isn't, but I keep throwing in little jokes into their social media, and you show up to meet my client and my client's not funny, you're like, wait, who's this person I've been following? So your voice is super important to your branding of building that consistency. And it comes down to 5 adjectives. If you can sit down and create your persona in 5 adjectives, then that will help you establish your voice, your true authentic voice. Now, why is voice also so important on social media? Like, aren't we, just reading and looking at pictures? Well, the hint is in the name. Social media. Social media platforms are designed to be social. What does social mean? Well, it's the relating to interaction with other people. It's all about talking and connecting and finding similarities and how your puzzle pieces connect. Now, I love Elvis, but he was wrong. We need a lot more conversation. A lot more conversation. Less about the action, a lot more about the conversation. He was wrong. What is a conversation? It's a talk in which ideas are exchanged. What's happening right now, like you sitting and watching this workshop, this is not a conversation. I am talking at you, and you're not able to share any ideas back with me. There is no exchange. So on social media, if you're just talking at people, there's no conversation, you are not being social, you're not engaging like we talked about in the beginning, then you're missing the point of social, right? Social media is meant to be social. Now, in terms of conversations and being able to build trust, there is a hierarchy, okay? Science has shown that you are more likely to trust someone that you can actually speak to in person. Looking at someone's eyes and watching their mouth while they speak inherently boosts the amount of trust you have in that individual. There have been some interesting studies that have come out of the political world. If you go to see a politician live, you are far more likely to believe what that politician says versus when you see them on TV versus what you then see on their news feeds, like what they're posting or emailing you about. So if you really want to convince someone that you are worthy of trust, that the conversation that you're having is important, in person is the top notch, is where you want to be. And the thing about social media is that it inherently allows for you to talk at people. You've got to figure out a way on your social media, how can you have conversations? How can you be social? Using the voice that you use to post captions should be the same voice that you use to have conversations, should be the same voice when they show up and see you in person. There's got to be a through line of consistency. Whether you're funny, you're witty, you're not, whatever it happens to be, that flow through has got to happen. Remember, your content should all be about showing them how you interlace. And I love this metaphor because this really does show you how much trust is involved in this crossover. Because how many times Have you held hands with someone lately? And who was that person? But it was someone that you trusted a lot. But this is the same idea of getting them to go from likes to customers, showing your expertise, their needs, and where they cross over. So you just went from, okay, they like my stuff, they more than like my stuff. How can I get them to come off of social media and go buy from me? How do I get them to follow? And not follow on social media, but follow you off of social media. And why is that so important? New statistics coming off of Instagram and Facebook show that consumers are 3 times more likely to look at the store on social media, but leave social media to go purchase something from your online store. So what does that mean? So on Facebook and on Instagram, you can have a store function where people can go and purchase from you, from your profile on Instagram and Facebook. But that's not what people are doing. They don't trust social media platforms enough to be able to exchange credit card information. Not yet. Will we get there? Absolutely. But I've been giving similar presentations for the last 4 years now that stay the same thing. We're just not there yet. Especially the more and more that Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, shows his face, the sales go down. So if he shows up a lot in your media, sales on Instagram and Facebook go really far down. When he disappears for a long period of time, they come back up. Funny how statistics show you people's purchasing power. So if they're not going to buy from you on the store, is it worth having content on your store? Absolutely. So it lets them know what you have for sale. What programs do you offer? What coaching programs do you have? What classes do you have? How can they find out more? But what they will probably do is click off of your social media and follow you to your own store. That means you need to have a store. You need to have a place where you can sell your content online, where you're not just accepting money in person, because that requires us to be at the same place at the same time. And if I want to give you my money at 3 a.m., you need to find a way to take my money at 3 a.m., right? Again, I've got to have a lot of trust, though, to leave social media and follow you off social media. So how can we help people take that journey? What can we do? What can we post on social that asks them to leave and come over to our websites? Well, let's talk about a website. A website is your online business card. It's how to get in touch with you. It's what you do, and then any extra information that's pertinent. Often, people will get into website building, and this website becomes astronomical and big. It doesn't have to be. In fact, some of the most visited websites have only 4 links in their menu. Consumers often get lost if there's more. Now, from those links, you can have drop downs that include more information. But you want to keep the menu as clean as possible. Also, you're going to want to have a blog. What does a blog do? And isn't it kind of outdated? No. A blog is a way that you are answering the pain points of your target market in an extended form. However, I really like to look at blogs as a breadcrumb, and I'll show you my theory in a moment. If you're using a website like WordPress to facilitate your online store, blogs are free, and it's a great way for you to get what's called SEO traction. SEO is search engine optimization. It's how Google finds you. The more pertinent words you use or linked photos that you have, using keywords is a way that Google can search what you're putting out there and move it up on Google search engine. Also, The more you update your website, the higher you are, because every time you update, Google essentially kind of sends a tracker and says, oh, you have new information, and it moves you up in Google. If your website is static and never changing, it doesn't do the same. The other aspect is that, well, Google owns YouTube. And so if you can post content on YouTube and then embed it in your blog, Google likes you even more. And you're utilizing the social media aspect of YouTube at the same time as your blog. So what should a blog be? Well, information, of course, or it can be interviews. Go back to that theory of you can't be all things to everyone. You can't have all the answers. You're never going to be able to answer all their pain points, right? But using partners and resources allow for you to be that haven where they know they could go to you to find answers, even though you may not be the one that's actually providing it. For example, if you're a personal trainer, but you know nutrition is super important, then consider working with a dietitian. And maybe you interview that dietitian once a month and post it on your blog. And in that way, it's video content where people are getting to see your face and hear your voice. It's also helping the dietitian for the same reason. You're posting it on your YouTube, that dietitian's posting it to her website and sending it to all her clients. Therefore, her clients are getting to know you. And then you are sending it out to all of your clients. Therefore, your clients are getting to know her. It's a great partnership that synchronizes very, very well. Blogs. What are blogs? Blogs are video blogs, video-based blogs. So a lot of times, like you'll see this with makeup artists or video gamers or travelers, where they'll videotape a tutorial. That's considered a vlog, especially if they then put it on their website. So if you're like, I'm not good with written words, that's okay. Put on a camera and go over your 3 tips to a better booty that way. And a blog, of course, can be personal. It can tell your personal journey, your personal story, or somebody else's personal story and journey. Remember how we talked about showing the client journey and how that builds trust? Well, this is a great way to tie it into your blog of not only are you following the person on social media, but that content all lives on your blog so that people can go back and see the history of that client, what all the steps were. How do you know what you're going to post on your blog? Like, where do you get your ideas? This is the same for social media. Go back to the pain points. Take a notebook and just start writing down all of the questions or issues or pains your target demographic is having. And then figure out how you can answer it. Now, very similar to social media, you are going to knit in your sales pitch so that it seems like it's built in so seamlessly and it doesn't feel like there's a hiccup where all of a sudden there was a sales thing. So we're going to weave it into the blog. I'm going to show you how and give you some examples in a moment. But I want you to keep that idea that it is one item that has a lot of education and sales woven into it to help you build that trust and credibility and encourage people to actually purchase from you. Now, a blog also does something else really amazing. It helps you build consistency. All right, so let's look at my blog, and I'll talk to you a little bit about why I set it up the way that I did. So in my blog, I did 5 steps, 5 mistakes, 5 words, 5 focus points, 5s. Why? Because it was easy for me to come up with 5 tips that then became social media posts. So each one of my 5 is a social media post. So I can say, here's tip number 1. To see 4 others, go to my blog. And then I can wait a month and I can give tip number 2. To see 4 others, go to my blog. Wait a month. Here's 3. To see more. And you see how I'm just leaving breadcrumbs for them to follow me? That, oh, did you like this tip? I have 4 others. Oh, did you like this tip? I have 4 others. And then within the blog itself, one of the tips is always related to whatever I'm trying to sell at that moment. So 4 tips that are just free information, and another tip that is still informational but ties into Oh, do you need more help to know how to do this step? Join me for A, B, and C. That allows for me to knit in the sales pitch. And what I did was I put it on social, and it wasn't a sales pitch. It was just about free information that gets them to walk off of social media and come to my blog. My blog has the sales pitch woven into it. So I'm not having to do a buy now 50% off sale, sale, sale. I'm instead saying, let me help you. Here's the information. Here's how I can be of service to you. Here's the service. But it's woven in to my 5 steps, into my blogs. Now, what's another reason that you want to get people off of social media and follow you to your website? And it's all about capturing their information so that you can continue to communicate with them. So, in addition to having all this free information that you can consistently copy off your blog and paste onto your social media to get people to come to your blog. Why? It has the sales pitch knitted into it, but also so that I can communicate with them. So what does that look like? Sometimes you've heard of this as a pop-up, or maybe you've heard of it as a light box. Maybe you've heard of it as a drip campaign or a lead magnet or a lead generation. There's so many different ways to explain what this is, but what it is at its foundation is an exchange of information. Currency is no longer just money. Currency is a valid email address. Do you want to know how I know? Because don't you have 2 email addresses? One that you give out to everyone and the other one that you give to Bed Bath & Beyond? There's a lot of us. You're not alone. Getting a valid email address that says, hey, reach out to me is a huge, huge commitment. So if you're going to give a valid email address, you probably want something valid in return, right? So you want to be able to offer them something that they actually want, something that they need in exchange to get their email address so that you can have communication with them. Because remember, people don't want junk mail. They don't want newsletters. The only person that I want a newsletter from is my son's 4th grade teacher. I do not want your newsletter. What I want is for you to surprise and delight me. I want to receive email content from you that answers one of my pain points, one of my questions, so that I don't feel like I'm just getting hit with sales. I want to be given the information I'm looking for. And it's okay if you want to weave in or knit in some sales pitches. That's okay. It's going to happen. I'm expecting that as a consumer, but I want it to be knitted in to where it is seamless and it doesn't just come out of the blue. And it's not just all focused on sales. Again, surprise and delight me by answering my pain points. What can you give away? Well, anything that you've already created. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Now, here's the great thing about technology is there are email services that allow for you to set up this lead magnet automation where you're answering my pain point. So for example, let's go back to the idea of, I really want to work with prenatal moms. Great. Got a prenatal mom for her entire first trimester. She's followed me online. She gets to her 2nd trimester. She decides to come over to my website, read my blogs, pop-up appears and says, hey, I have my most relaxing prenatal yoga stretches for trimesters 2 and 3, and I'd love to give it to you. All I need in exchange is your email address, and I'll pop right into your inbox. And she says, yes. And she gives me the email address. And then my system, my technology email system, automatically sends her that email that has the 5 best yoga moves for trimester 2 and 3. Now from there, what I want to do is set up follow-up emails that reach out to this client on a consistent interval so that I stay in the forefront of her mind. In the beginning, studies are showing that you want to reach out to someone every 4 to 5 days. That's where we're getting the most click-through and most response. So let's say on Monday, she finds my website, she gives me her email address, I send her my 5 favorite yoga moves for trimester 2 and 3. I wait, I tell my system, I don't do this, I tell my system to wait 4 days, and then I want them to send this blog. And this blog is my favorite smoothies for when you have an upset stomach, right? And so it automatically like, here's free information for you. And she looks at the email and says, you know what, I actually want to read this blog, clicks on it, goes to my blog. What's woven into my blog? One of my services or programs that I'm trying to sell, right? And then maybe 4 days later, I send her another follow-up email that's like, I really hope you've enjoyed these yoga stretches and the smoothies I've just sent you. Be sure to check out this interview that I did with a doula to answer any questions that you might have in second and third trimester. So she goes and checks out that video, which is hosted on my blog, right? What else is on my website? My store. So she's constantly going back to where I house my information that is not on social media, that's being controlled by me. Now, am I using the same information in all the places? Absolutely. I'm using content from my blog on my social media, as well as within my emails that I'm setting and running. So I'm not constantly having to create emails. I sit down and I say, here's the journey, my target demographic I want them to take with me based on the content I've already created in the world. And I create this funnel that follows up with them every 4 to 5 days for about 6 weeks. Now, remember, they can unsubscribe at any time. And the content that goes in this, you are literally setting into your technology system and you're running away. Now, after they've gotten to that 6-week mark, if they still have not purchased anything from you, the statistics start to drastically drop down that they're going to. So instead of sending every 4 to 5 days, you start lengthening it out to every 7 days. Then from after 6 weeks, then you get to the 12-week mark. At 12 weeks, you want to lower it down to every 10 days or every other week. So you can set this drip campaign up right now and it follow people from the minute they opt in every 4 days until the 6-week mark. And then if they still have not bought from you, every 7 days until the 12-week mark, and then every other week until, well, studies show for another 6 weeks. If they haven't bought from you in 24 weeks, they're not going to buy from you. Or they're going to start the cycle over. Find a system that you can set all this information and run. And you're not in the constant state of having to create and remember an email and do this. Create it now, dedicate some time and effort to it, create it, set it, and run. Why? Because this opens up the window for you to have conversations. Go back to the beginning of this presentation when I said conversations on social media, that's where it's at. How are you going to get time to do that? How are you going to get time to directly communicate with people, talk to them in person, be seen in person, go to events, have face-to-face contact, and talk to people on social media? It's setting up things like this on the technology system side of things, and then running away. So remember, everything you create, all these emails that you're putting out there, it's all about showing them they can trust you, showing them that you are the credible expert, and building loyalty to what you put out there. Set it, create it, run. The service I love to use is called Active Campaign. Active Campaign will allow for you to connect your store to your email account so that if someone does purchase from you, it stops their drip campaign because they've become a client. And it even says, okay, if the person clicked on this link, they go over to this automation. If a person did not click on the link, or maybe they didn't open the email, they go over into this. Very complex. You can really stalk some people using it. Check it out. I'm not paid by them, I promise. Now, they followed you off social media. They've checked out your blogs. They've joined your email list by getting an exchange of valid information. Now it's time to talk about revenue. How do we get them to be paying customers? We used to always think about business in terms of a funnel or a pyramid. that you are constantly trying to get people to come in towards your lesser amount of money and go down into the more expensive area. I don't want you to think about it like that anymore. It's instead a highway system where consumers can choose to get on and off your highway system at any time. That means if I have built up a high level of trust in you on social media, I want to be able to come in right at your high. Or if I got trust issues and I've maybe followed you for a year and I still don't trust you, then maybe I want to just come in at low. Well, what are some low and mid and high risk things that we can think about putting out there, offering to these people who are following us from social media? Start with low risk. This is low risk time, investment for you and for the consumer. It is indirect access to you. This is not a one-on-one meeting with you. This is the residual effect of your sparkle, not your actual in-person sparkle. This is something like an email, a download, a group, an opt-in, an ebook, something that you've created once and it goes out to the masses. What about mid-risk? Mid-risk time and investment for you and the consumer. That's what's really important to remember. This is still a relationship. You can't spend tons of time, effort, and energy on something that's low or mid. This is indirect, but more access to you. It's still not one-on-one time. And it's, think about like groups with personalization. So this is your small group training, your group fitness, your challenge on Facebook. It's groups, it's still you, it's just less time with you, and it's mid-risk at that point. Whereas high risk, a lot of time and investment on your behalf, a lot of time and investment on their behalf. It's you, all of your sparkle and energy and sprinkles in person. It's direct access to you. They are getting you, and it's time relevant. That's a high risk. These are one-on-one clients. These are your, when you're doing your boot camps, it's the smaller group of your boot camp. It is health coaching. It is having your phone number. It's high risk area. So how are you going to get consumers to come in at any point? It's building up your trust, credibility, and loyalty. How do you build trust? You piggyback off the trust that they have already established in someone else, remembering that like-minded individuals will come together and see themselves in other people, look for where their puzzle pieces connect, and consistency. Consistency in the experience, consistency in the branding, consistency in the voice and the content. It's super important to get people from likes to more to likes. When they more than like you, that's when you want that conversations to start happening. And remember, conversations are hierarchical, meaning that the more face-to-face, one-on-one time they get with you, the better. The less one-on-one face-to-face time with you, the less likely they are to trust you. So if you're just talking at people through social media, not talking with people on social media, you're not doing much to establish that trust. You need to get them to follow you off of social media to your website, where they get more information through your blogs, and your blogs have sales pitches knitted into them. And you're able to take those blogs and use them on your social media and use them on your emails, because that builds consistency and trust, so that they then can purchase from you a low risk, a mid risk, or a high risk. And remember, those terms are reflective of your time, effort, and energy, not just theirs. Your magic is magic. Remember, you want to build consistency with what you deliver. It can't just be about giving them one experience and then completely changing it the next time they come over. Consistency and dependability are key. I hope that you have enjoyed this journey that we've taken from likes, more to likes, follow, and then eventually revenue. Guys, my name is Jessica H. Maurer, and you can find me at jessica@jhmfitness.com. Thank you so much for joining me today on this workshop. Thanks on behalf of myself as well as SCW. And we can't wait to see you at one of our live events or one of our online events in the future. Don't forget that we have an extensive resource section for you here at SCW, from online workshops and CEC offerings to our podcast and our webinar series. Make sure that you tune in to keep growing your career to the next level. Thanks, everyone. Now, go forth and conquer.